Chairman Fitzgerald, Ranking Member Raskin, and Ranking Member Nadler, and distinguished members, thank you so much for inviting me today. This hearing is about competition and consumer choice in digital streaming, and that means we must talk about this string of mega mergers, both past and newly proposed. Runaway consolidation eliminates choice. Companies routinely break promises and evade merger conditions, and under the Trump administration, these deals pose tremendous danger to free expression. I must clarify something, though, before I begin, because of the companies involved in these merger talks and confusion about our name. My organization is called Free Press Action. We're a public interest group that works on media, tech, and telecom policy. And for more than 20 years, we've been analyzing these markets, opposing harmful mergers, and fighting both government censorship and undue corporate control. We are not affiliated with The Free Press, which is the publication Paramount Skydance purchased last year before making its founder the editor-in-chief of CBS News. I don't solely practice antitrust law, but since leaving corporate firms, I've spent much of my last 16 years opposing mergers that enrich executives, bankers, and lawyers at everyone else's expense. While Paramount is still pursuing Warner Brothers Discovery, the winning bid for now is Netflix's $82.7 billion deal to buy a company that, as Mr. Nadler noted, is somehow always up for sale in deals that amounted to bad industry bets and huge debts. Netflix is the largest streaming service in the world with more than 300 million subscribers. Warner Brothers' HBO Max is well over 100 million, third largest in the US by most accounts. Paramount is likely the fifth largest streamer in the US, and that combo, of course, would couple two of the big five Hollywood studios, impacting the market for theatrical releases, movies, and TV. Both potential mergers could severely harm the viewing public, creative industry workers, journalists, movie theaters that depend on studio content, and their surrounding Main Street businesses in your districts, too. We fear that either deal would reduce competition in streaming and adjacent markets, with fewer choices for consumers and fewer opportunities for writers, actors, directors, and production technicians. Jobs will be lost. Stories will go untold. Now, we still need to crunch the numbers for an array of markets and metrics. We'll listen critically to claims about supposed merger benefits, and we'll ask whether there is sufficient competition left to ensure that the billions saved in promised synergies are passed along, not pocketed. The job for antitrust enforcers is clear. They must engage in careful product market analysis to determine if these mergers violate the law and whether they promise any real efficiencies, not just speculative assurances, as the case law says, about alleged benefits to the public. Either Netflix or Paramount buying Warner Brothers could be presumptively illegal under DOJ's merger guidelines. Members of this subcommittee and others in Congress have suggested so on a bipartisan basis. Section 7 of the Clayton Act prohibits any merger that would, quote, substantially lessen competition or tend to create a monopoly in any line of commerce. That is clearly a risk here. In our view, either deal likely places far too much power in too few hands over what Americans watch and where they get their news. The numbers for that news component are dwarfed by the dollars thrown at the streaming side and studio catalogs, but in addition to HBO, Warner Brothers, of course, owns CNN and other cable channels. Netflix doesn't want those. Paramount's Ellison family desperately does. We're all too familiar with claims that media giants need to merge to continue producing news. Their trickle-down notion is that more money for shareholders means more investment in news or content creation. But as history shows, companies merge to save money, not spend it. Every merger obliterates jobs. Post-merger companies will reduce output and raise prices whenever they can, and having fewer voices makes censorship easier with fewer corporate gatekeepers to lean on. Even more dangerous than the notion that mergers can save the news is the way this president has weaponized the merger review process. In conjunction with other threats made in plain sight, his agencies have used deal approvals to win favors. The FCC has blessed mergers moments after deal proponents promised to follow the president's demands to end diversity policies. They've capitulated on chilling requests to reshape their newsrooms. The merger that spawned Paramount Skydance, as Mr. Raskin detailed, was greased by an FCC investigation and a multi-million-dollar settlement of a specious lawsuit over editing choices in an interview with then Vice President Harris. Paramount installed a former Trump ambassador as a bias monitor and recently spiked that 60 Minutes investigation into Trump administration wrongdoing. Now, Paramount Skydance's CEO promises, as Mr. Nadler says, to, quote, make sweeping changes to CNN if he takes it over. Tilting a merger review process to facilitate that outcome should be unthinkable under the First Amendment. Should a president use merger reviews to gain political outcomes he wants? Some may think it depends on which party holds the White House, but that answer abdicates the antitrust oversight this subcommittee conducts, and the antitrust laws enforcers must apply. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions.